The stars had always been beautiful to Admiral Taiho. He stood at the observation window of the lunar base, watching Earth spin slowly in the darkness. The blue planet looked peaceful from here. He could see the lights of Seoul where his wife Mira and his 2 daughters were sleeping. It was night there. He smiled and thought about going home next week. Then the alarms started screaming. Taiho ran to the command center. Officers were shouting and pointing at screens. He pushed through them and looked at the main display. His blood turned cold. 3,000 ships were dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They were enormous. They were alien. And they were heading straight for Earth. "Get me a connection to the defense grid," Taiho ordered. His voice was calm, even though his heart was pounding. "Sir, we're being jammed." "All communications to Earth are blocked." Taiho watched helplessly as the alien fleet moved into position around his home planet. He knew what was coming. Everyone in the room knew. But nobody could do anything to stop it. The bombardment began at exactly 0347 hours. Beams of white light shot down from the alien ships. They struck the surface of Earth like the fingers of an angry god. Taiho watched Seoul disappear in a flash of fire, then Tokyo, then Beijing. New York, London, Mumbai. One by one, the great cities of humanity were erased from existence. Taiho did not move. He did not speak. He just stood there and watched his world burn. The attack lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 800 million people were dead. The aliens had not landed a single soldier. They had not asked for surrender. They had simply killed and killed until they decided to stop. A message came through on all frequencies. The alien voice was cold and spoke perfect English. "Humanity is hereby contained. Your civilization has been judged too dangerous to exist freely. You will remain on your damaged world. Any attempt to rebuild your military capabilities will result in complete extermination. This is not a negotiation. This is your reality." The transmission ended. Taiho finally moved. He walked to his private office and closed the door. Then he fell to his knees and screamed. He screamed until his throat was raw and his voice was gone. His wife, his daughters, his home. Everything was ash now. He stayed on the floor for a long time. Minutes, maybe hours. He did not know when he finally stood up, something had changed inside him. The grief was still there, burning like fire in his chest. But now there was something else too. Something cold and hard and patient. He would make them pay. Not today. Not tomorrow. But someday. He would make them pay for every single life they had taken far below on Earth. Captain Yuna was crawling out of burning wreckage. She had been on the orbital defense station when the attack began. The station had been destroyed in the first minute. Somehow, her escape pod had survived the fall. She pulled herself across broken metal and looked at the sky. It was wrong. The clouds were red and black. Ash was falling like snow. The air tasted like death. Yuna walked for 3 days. She found survivors hiding in caves and bunkers. They were scared and broken and lost. But they were alive. She organized them. She found food and water. She set up defenses against the roving bands of desperate people who had lost their minds to grief. She did what soldiers do. She survived, and she helped others survive. On the 4th day, she found a working radio. She spent hours scanning frequencies until she heard a familiar voice. "This is Admiral Taiho, broadcasting from Lunar Base 7. All surviving military personnel, respond. Humanity is not finished. We are hurt. We are bleeding. But we are not dead. Find each other. Protect each other. Wait for my orders." Yuna pressed the transmit button. "Admiral, this is Captain Yuna. I have 200 survivors near the old Busan area. We're ready to fight." The response came quickly. "Captain, good to hear your voice. Stay alive. Stay hidden. We have work to do." The Galactic Council met in their great chamber to celebrate their victory. 12 species sat in their ancient seats, representing civilizations that had existed for millions of years. They had watched humanity grow too fast, advance too quickly, spread too aggressively. They had decided that humans were a threat that needed to be eliminated before they became too powerful. High Counselor Ven addressed the assembly. The human problem has been solved. Their cities are destroyed. Their population is broken. They have no ships, no weapons, and no hope. Within 2 generations, they will fade into extinction. Ambassador Lyra stood. She was the only one who had voted against the attack. I warned this council that attacking humans was a mistake. They are not like other species. When you wound them, they do not submit. They become more dangerous. Commander Drax laughed. He was the one who had led the attack. I have seen their planet. It is burning. They are animals fighting over scraps of food. They are no threat to anyone. Lyra sat down, but said nothing more. She had tried to warn them. They would not listen. Back on Earth, Admiral Taiho gathered the surviving military commanders in a bunker deep beneath the ruins of Busan. There were only 23 of them left from a military that once, numbered in the millions. Taiho stood before them. His uniform was torn. His face was covered in dust, but his eyes were clear and cold. "They think we are finished," he said. "They think they have beaten us. They have made 2 mistakes. First, they left us alive. Second, they made us angry." He looked at each commander in turn. "We are going to rebuild. We are going to learn their technology. We are going to build ships that can match theirs. And then we are going to make them understand exactly what they have done." General Hannah spoke up. Her voice was rough from smoke damage. "How long will this take?" Taiho's answer was simple. "However long it takes. But we will not stop. We will never stop. They killed our children. They burned our homes. They thought we would kneel." He paused and looked toward the ceiling, toward the stars he could not see. "They have no idea what they have awakened." 6 months passed since the day the stars burned. The aliens kept 200 warships in orbit around Earth. They watched from above like prison guards, making sure humanity stayed broken and helpless. They did not bother sending soldiers to the surface. They believed there was nothing left worth guarding. The cities were ruins. The survivors were scattered and starving. What threat could dying animals pose to the greatest civilizations in the galaxy? This was their first mistake. Dr. Wujin wiped sweat from his forehead, looked at the piece of alien metal on his workbench. It had come from a crashed enemy fighter, one of the few that human defenders had managed to shoot down during the attack. The wreckage had fallen into the mountains, and his team had spent 3 weeks dragging it underground. "The power source is based on quantum field manipulation," he said to his assistants. "It is advanced, yes, but it follows physical laws. Laws we can understand. Laws we can use." His team had been working in an abandoned mine for months. They had no proper equipment. They had no funding. They had only their minds and their hatred. Wujin picked up a human-made battery and connected it to the alien power cell. There was a spark, then a steady hum. The alien device came to life. He smiled for the first time since his family had died in the attack. "We can do this. We can build our own." Across the planet, similar scenes were happening in 100 hidden locations. Scientists, engineers, and inventors were studying every piece of alien technology they could find. They shared information through secret networks, passing knowledge from bunker to bunker through messengers who traveled on foot to avoid detection. General Hannah walked through a training camp hidden in the forests of what used to be Canada. 500 recruits stood at attention. They were thin and tired and scarred, but their eyes were hard. "You are not soldiers yet," she told them. "You are survivors. My job is to turn you into weapons. The aliens think we are broken. They think we have given up. We will let them keep thinking that until the day we tear their ships from the sky." The training was brutal. Many did not survive it. Those who did became something new. They became soldiers who feared nothing because they had already lost everything. Hannah watched a young woman practicing hand-to-hand combat. The woman moved like water, fast and deadly. She had been a schoolteacher before the attack. Now she could kill a man in 3 seconds. "Good," Hannah said. "Faster." Again. On the moon, Admiral Taiho met with Captain Yuna. She had made the dangerous journey from Earth in a stolen alien shuttle. Slipping past the blockade during a shift change, "The surface teams are ready," she reported. "We have 50,000 trained fighters hidden in bunkers across the globe. Dr. Wujin says he needs 6 more months to finish the first prototype warship." Taiho nodded slowly. "That is not fast enough. The aliens will eventually realize we are rebuilding. We need to accelerate the timeline." "How?" Taiho pulled up a holographic display. It showed the positions of the alien blockade ships. "Their patrols have patterns, weaknesses. I need you to form a special unit. Pilots who can fly stolen alien craft. You will raid their supply ships and steal what we need." Yuna studied the display. "That is suicide." "Yes, it probably is. But we need those resources. We need their fuel, their weapons, their technology. Can you do it?" Yuna thought about her mother, who had died in Seoul. She thought about her brother, who had burned alive in Tokyo. She thought about all the people she had buried in the past 6 months. "I can do it. I will find you the best pilots on Earth." She found Lieutenant Ji-hoon in a refugee camp near the ruins of Daijin. He was 23 years old and had lost his entire family in the attack. His mother, father, 2 sisters, and grandmother had all died when their apartment building collapsed. When Yuna asked him to join her squadron, he did not hesitate. "I do not care if I die," he said. "I only care about making them pay." Yuna looked at him carefully. "I do not need pilots who want to die. I need pilots who want to win. There is a difference." Ji-hoon was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. "I understand. I will live long enough to see them fall. Then I do not care what happens." It was not the answer Yuna wanted, but it was honest. She accepted him into the squadron. One night, a secret transmission reached Earth from an unexpected source. Ambassador Lyra, the alien who had voted against the attack, was risking her life to help humanity. "I am sorry for what my people have done," her message said. "I tried to stop them. I failed. But I can help you now. The Galactic Council is debating whether to finish what they started. Some believe you should be completely exterminated. You have perhaps 2 years before they send the final fleet." Admiral Taiho listened to the message in his bunker. His face showed no emotion. "Awu." 2 years, he said quietly. "That is more time than we need." He called a meeting of all resistance leaders through their secret communication network. "We are building an army," he told them. "We are building a fleet. We are building weapons that will make the galaxy tremble. But we must work faster. Every day, every hour, every minute counts. Our enemy thinks we are dying quietly. Let them think that. When we are ready, we will show them how wrong they were." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in an underwater cavern that had once been a research station, workers labored around the clock. The skeleton of a warship was taking shape in the darkness. It was crude and ugly and held together with desperate engineering, but it was theirs. It was human, and it would be the first of many. Dr. Wujin stood on a platform overlooking the construction. Admiral Taiho joined him. "The first ship will be ready in 3 months," Wujin said. "It will be stronger and faster than anything the aliens have." "How is that possible?" Wujin smiled grimly. "Their technology is advanced, but predictable. They have been the masters of the galaxy for so long that they have stopped innovating. We took their designs and made them better, because we are desperate. And desperate people find ways that comfortable people cannot imagine." Taiho looked at the ship. "What will you call it?" "I thought you should decide." The Admiral was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke. "Call it the Reckoning, and build me 100 more." 18 months had passed since the attack. The Galactic Council received regular reports from Commander Drax about the state of Earth. The reports all said the same thing. Humanity was dying. "Her population has fallen below 1 billion, Drax told the Council proudly. "Energy signatures are minimal. They have no industry, no military capability, and no hope. The blockade is working perfectly. Within another year, they will be reduced to primitive tribes fighting over scraps." High Counselor Ven nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent work, Commander. Continue your watch. Inform us when the human problem has fully resolved itself. The council moved on to discuss other matters. The human threat was no longer worth their attention. They had more important things to worry about. They had no idea how wrong they were. Beneath the surface of Earth, humanity had built an empire of shadows. Tunnels stretched for thousands of kilometers, connecting underground cities that did not exist on any map. Factories worked day and night, producing weapons, vehicles, and ships. Training centers turned ordinary people into elite soldiers, and in 12 hidden shipyards scattered across the planet, 300 warships waited in the darkness. Captain Yuna stood before her pilots in a massive underground hangar. Ghost Squadron had grown from a handful of desperate volunteers into an army of 10,000. They had trained on stolen alien fighters, learning every weakness and every limitation of enemy technology. Lieutenant Ji-hoon stood at the front of the formation. He had become Yuna's best pilot, her second in command and her most trusted friend. The anger that burned inside him had not faded, but it had become focused. He no longer wanted to die. He wanted to win. We have waited long enough, Yuna told her squadron. We have trained hard enough. When the order comes, we will be the first wave. We will break their blockade and open the door for our fleet. Many of us will die. But those who survive will see something beautiful. We will see our enemies burn. The pilots did not cheer. They did not need to. Their faces said everything in his command bunker. Admiral Taiho studied holographic displays showing the position of every alien ship in the galaxy. Dr. Wu Jin had cracked the enemy communication network months ago. Earth had been listening to every message, intercepting every order, tracking every movement. The Galactic Council had no secrets left. 12 homeworlds, Taiho said to his commanders. 12 species that voted to destroy us. We know where their fleets are stationed. We know where their defenses are weakest. We know everything. General Hanna pointed at the displays. We could end them all. We have the firepower to destroy every major city on every homeworld. Yes, we could. Taiho's voice was cold. But that is not what we are going to do. We are not going to become what they accused us of being. We will strike their military targets. We will cripple their ability to wage war. But we will not murder their civilians. Why not? Hannah's voice was hard. They murdered ours. Taiho looked at her. Because we are better than them. Because I will not give the order that turns us into monsters. We will show them that we are stronger than they are. We will show them that we could destroy them completely. And then we will show them mercy they do not deserve. That is how we win. Anna was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. I understand. I do not agree, but I understand. Dr. Wujin entered the room with a tablet in his hand. The fleet is ready. All 300 ships are fully armed and staffed. The FTL drives have been tested. We can jump to any point in the galaxy within seconds. What about their detection systems? I have developed a stealth field that will hide our ships until we are ready to strike. They will not see us coming. Taiho closed his eyes and took a deep breath. For 18 months, he had been planning this moment. For 18 months, he had been carrying the weight of 800 million dead on his shoulders. Now it was time. Send the order to all commanders. Operation Reckoning begins in 12 hours. The message spread through the underground networks like fire. Soldiers embraced each other. Pilots checked their fighters one last time. Engineers made final adjustments to weapons and shields. Humanity was ready. In orbit above Earth, the alien blockade fleet noticed something strange. Seismic sensors were detecting unusual activity across the planet. Massive vibrations were coming from deep underground. Commander Drax reviewed the data and dismissed it. Volcanic activity. The planet is still unstable from our bombardment. It is nothing to concern ourselves with. His sensors officer looked uncertain. The patterns are very regular, sir. Almost like machinery. You are imagining things. The humans have nothing left. Go back to your station. The officer obeyed. But he could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. Beneath the Pacific Ocean, the waters began to churn. Bubbles rose from impossible depths. The seafloor cracked and split open, and then they came. 300 warships rose from the hidden shipyards beneath the sea. They burst through the surface like ancient gods awakening from sleep. Water cascaded from their holes as they climbed toward the sky. Their engines burning with blue fire, they were beautiful and terrible. They were revenge made real. Admiral Taiho stood on the bridge of the Reckoning, the flagship of the human fleet. He watched Earth fall away beneath him, and the stars spread out above. "All ships report ready," his communications officer announced. "Awaiting your orders, Admiral." Taiho looked at the alien blockade fleet ahead. 200 ships that had kept humanity imprisoned for 18 months. 200 ships crewed by beings who had watched Earth burn and felt nothing. He opened a channel to all frequencies. His voice was calm and steady. "This is Admiral Taiho of the United Earth Fleet. You came to our home and murdered our children. You thought we would submit. You thought we would beg for mercy? You were wrong." He paused and looked at his bridge crew. Captain Yuna stood at her station, ready to lead the attack. Every face was hard with determination. "Today we teach you what it means to make an enemy of humanity. Today you learn that some mistakes can never be undone." He raised his hand. "All ships, attack." The battle lasted 3 hours. The alien blockade fleet never had a chance. Captain Yuna led Go Squadron in the first wave. Her pilots moved like they were born in space, weaving between enemy ships and striking with perfect precision. The human fighters were faster, more agile, and hit harder than anything the aliens had ever seen. Lieutenant Ji-hoon flew beside her, his ship cutting through the chaos like a knife. He destroyed 4 enemy fighters in the first minute, then 5 more. Then he lost count. His hands moved automatically, trained by months of practice. His mind was clear and cold. Enemy flagship identified. His targeting computer announced. "Commander Drax is aboard." Ji-hoon smiled for the first time in 18 months. "He is mine." He broke formation and dove toward the massive alien command ship. Enemy fire filled the space around him, but he slipped through it like water through stones. His ship took hit after hit, shields failing, hull cracking. But he did not stop. He fired everything he had at the flagship's engines. The explosions tore through the alien ship, crippling it instantly. Escape pods began launching, but Ji-hoon ignored them. He was not here to kill everyone. He was here for one person. Back on the Reckoning, Admiral Taiho watched the battle unfold on his displays. The alien fleet was falling apart. Human ships swarmed around them, picking them off one by one. The enemy had never faced anything like this. They had never imagined that the broken survivors they had been guarding could build such terrible weapons. "Enemy losses at 60%, his tactical officer reported. "They are attempting to retreat. Do not let them escape. Every ship that runs today will come back tomorrow with reinforcements. End this now." Human fleet closed around the remaining alien ships like a fist. Within an hour, 200 enemy vessels were either destroyed or captured. The blockade that had imprisoned Earth for 18 months was gone, but Admiral Taiho was not finished. "All ships, prepare for FTL jump. Battle groups Alpha through Lambda, proceed to your assigned targets." The fleet split into 12 groups, each one commanded by an officer who had lost family in the attack. Each group had a specific destination, one of the 12 homeworlds of the Galactic Council. Taiho opened a channel to every frequency in the galaxy. He wanted them all to hear this. "People of the Galactic Council. 18 months ago, you attacked Earth without warning. You killed 800 million innocent people. You thought you had destroyed us. You were wrong. Today we bring you a message. We bring you consequences." The fleet jumped simultaneously. In an instant, human ships appeared in orbit around every Council homeworld. The aliens had no time to react. Their sensor operators stared at their screens in disbelief. This was impossible. The humans were supposed to be dead. General Hannah commanded the battle group that attacked the Ven homeworld. She had studied their defenses for months and knew every weakness. Her ships struck military installations with surgical precision. Defense stations exploded. Weapons platforms crumbled. Communication hubs went dark. The civilian population watched in terror as human warships filled their sky. They waited for the bombardment that would end their civilization. They waited for death. It never came. Hannah opened a channel to the planet below. We could destroy your cities. We could kill your children the way you killed ours. We could turn your world to ash. She paused. But we will not. We are not you. Remember this moment. Remember the mercy we showed you when you showed us none? Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human fleets crippled military targets on every council homeworld while leaving civilian populations untouched. The message was clear. Humanity could have ended them all, but chose not to. Lieutenant Jihoon led a strike team that boarded Commander Drax's crippled flagship. They fought through corridors filled with smoke and fire, cutting down every soldier who stood in their way. Finally, they reached the command bridge. Drax stood there alone, his weapon raised. He was tall and powerful, covered in scales that glittered like dark gems. His eyes showed no fear. Should have finished us, Jihoon said quietly. You should have killed every last human. Because the ones you left alive? We spent every day planning this moment. Drax fired his weapon. Jihoon dodged and returned fire, hitting Drax in the shoulder. The alien commander fell to his knees. You're animals, Drax spat. Violent, primitive animals. The council was right to try to eliminate you. Jihoon walked forward and looked down at the being who had led the attack on Earth. He thought about his mother making breakfast in their kitchen. He thought about his sisters laughing at his jokes. He thought about his grandmother telling stories about the old days. They were all gone now. Burned away in seconds by the weapons of this creature. Maybe we are animals, Jihoon said, but you made us this way. And now you will face human justice. He pulled Drax to his feet and put him in chains. The alien would not die today. He would live long enough to answer for what he had done. Across the galaxy, the remaining military forces of the Galactic Council surrendered or fled. Within 72 hours, the most powerful alliance of civilizations in history had been brought to its knees by a species they had tried to exterminate. Admiral Taiho received reports on the Reckoning's bridge. His face showed no joy, no satisfaction, only cold purpose. All targets neutralized, his communications officer reported. Enemy military capabilities reduced by 94%. Civilian casualties, 0. Good. Taiho looked at the stars on his display. 12 homeworlds now had human ships in orbit. 12 species now understood what it meant to attack Earth. Open a channel to the Galactic Council. Tell them I want a meeting. Tell them we have terms they will accept. And tell them if they refuse. Tell them we are just getting started. Captain Yunus stood beside him. What now, Admiral? Taiho was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. Now we teach them that humans do not forget. We do not forgive. And we never, ever give up. The Galactic Council chamber had stood for 10,000 years. It had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the signing of treaties that shaped the galaxy, and the judgment of countless species. But it had never seen anything like this. Human soldiers stood guard at every entrance. Human ships filled the sky above the capital world. And for the first time in history, a non-cancel species walked into the ancient chamber as a conqueror. Admiral Taiho entered slowly, his boots echoing on the stone floor. Behind him walked Captain Yuna, Lieutenant Jihoon, General Hannah, and Dr. Woojin. They represented what humanity had become. Soldiers, scientists, survivors. The 12 council species sat in their ancient seats, arranged in a circle around the central platform. Some were tall and elegant. Some were covered in scales or shells. Some had forms that defied human understanding. They were the masters of the galaxy, the oldest and most powerful civilizations in existence, and they were terrified. High Counselor Ven rose from his seat. He was slender and pale, with large eyes that reflected the chamber's lights like dark mirrors. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. Admiral Taiho, you have committed acts of war against the Galactic Council. You have attacked sovereign worlds. You have violated the fundamental laws of our civilization. What do you have to say for yourself? Taiho walked to the center of the chamber and stopped. He looked at each council member in turn, meeting their eyes, forcing them to see him. What do I have to say? His voice was quiet but carried to every corner of the room. I have a great deal to say. He raised his hand, and a holographic display appeared above him. Images of Earth before the attack, beautiful cities, green forests, blue oceans, smiling children playing in parks. This was our world. This was our home. The images changed. Burning cities, mountains of corpses, survivors screaming in the ashes, children searching for parents who would never answer. This is what you did to us. The council members looked away. Some covered their faces. Only Ambassador Lyra met Tai-Ho's eyes, and hers were filled with sorrow. 800 million people, Tai-Ho continued. That is how many you killed. Not soldiers, civilians, families, children. He paused. My wife, my daughters, they were among them. Ven spoke again, his voice defensive. Humanity was judged to be a threat to the galaxy. Your species advances too quickly. Your nature is too aggressive. We acted to protect ourselves. To protect yourselves. Tai-Ho's voice was cold. You attacked us without warning. You murdered our people without mercy. You tried to exterminate our entire species. And you call this protection? Commander Drax was brought forward in chains. He had been cleaned and dressed in his formal uniform, but his eyes were empty. He knew what was coming. This is the creature who led the attack, Tai-Ho said. He watched our cities burn and felt nothing. He ordered the deaths of millions and called it necessary. He will face human justice for his crimes. Drax said nothing. There was nothing left to say. General Hanna stepped forward. We could have done to you what you did to us. We had your homeworlds at our mercy. We could have burned your cities, killed your children, made you feel exactly what we felt. She looked around the chamber, but we did not. We struck only military targets. We showed mercy to your civilians. We proved that we are better than you. Lieutenant Ji-hoon spoke next, his voice hard. You called us violent. You called us dangerous. But we gave you chances you never gave us. Remember that. Remember that the species you tried to exterminate chose to spare you when we had every right to destroy you? Dr. Wu-jin was the last to speak. You thought you were so advanced, so superior. But we took your technology and improved it. We built ships that could defeat your fleets. We did in 18 months what took you thousands of years. And we did it while rebuilding from ashes. He smiled grimly. Never underestimate humanity. Admiral Tai-Ho raised his hand again. The holographic display showed 12 human fleets, each one holding position above a council homeworld. Here are our terms. First, humanity will be recognized as an equal member of the galactic community. Second, full reparations will be paid to help rebuild Earth. Third, all those who ordered or participated in the attack on Earth will be surrendered to face trial. Fourth, this council will never again authorize an unprovoked attack on any species. He looked at Ven. These terms are not negotiable. Accept them, or we will resume our offensive. In this time, we will not stop until every council world is burning. The chamber was silent. The council members looked at each other, their faces showing fear and shame and resignation. Ambassador Lyra stood. I warned this council that attacking humanity was a mistake. I said they were different. I said they would not submit like other species. No one listened to me. She looked at Tai-Ho. For what it is worth, Admiral, I am sorry for what my civilization did to yours. Lo nodded slowly. You tried to stop it. That is worth something. Then called for a vote. One by one, the council members registered their decision. When it was done, the result was unanimous. Humanity's terms were accepted. 1 week later, Admiral Tai-Ho stood in the ruins of Seoul. Reconstruction had begun. But the scars of the attack were still visible everywhere. Broken buildings reached toward the sky like accusing fingers. The air still smelled faintly of smoke and ash. A memorial had been built in the heart of the city. A simple wall of black stone, carved with 800 million names. Tai-Ho found the names of his wife and daughters near the top. He touched the stone gently. It was cold beneath his fingers. Captain Yuna found him there at sunset. She stood beside him in silence for a long time. Was it worth it? She finally asked. Everything we did, everything we became, was it worth it? Taiho was quiet. He thought about the war. He thought about the blood. He thought about the cold, hard thing that had grown inside him over the past 18 months. They will never attack us again, he said finally. They will never attack anyone weaker than themselves again. Not because they have become good, but because they have learned to fear. And maybe that fear will give the galaxy enough peace for something better to grow. He looked up at the sky. The reckoning was passing overhead, a shadow against the stars. A reminder that Earth would never be defenseless again. We did not choose this war, Taiho said. But we ended it, and we ended it on our terms. He touched the memorial one more time. A tear ran down his cheek, the first he had allowed himself to shed since the attack. Rest now, he whispered to the names on the wall. We made them pay. We kept our promise. Rest now. And somewhere in the galaxy, the Galactic Council remembered the lesson they had learned. Some species should not be attacked. Some species do not know how to surrender. Some species are human,